What happened to me last year was I was hunted down and chased by several people. I was chased by different groups of black people, I guess they're gang members, different groups of Spanish people. I was attacked by magic. I was hot shotted with needles. I don't know what the hell. I'm okay, but I literally felt people injecting me and pricking me with things. I had situations where I had to, the one guy that I knew that was out here, when I had got the bad feeling about what was going on, I left out of my home that night because I was like, there's something wrong. There's something going on. If anybody knows me, knows anything about me, I'm a reader. I do readings. So if I'm getting a feeling of something like that and it's like, hey, you have to get out of the house, you have to get out of the house. I left out of my house, and as I'm leaving my house, the guy is walking up to my house. I ended up going through the Bronx, getting all the way over by the Yankee Stadium because I'm trying to get out of here at this point because something crazy is going on. When I get over by the Bronx terminal, I'm like at the top part. I'm not down at the bottom of the Bronx terminal. I'm like up at the top part, where there's like a bridge that, like, if you take it, it would lead you down to like the bottom part. There, and I was trying to get to like the Metro North train rather than taking the subway train. When I had got by like the bridge and I had looked, I see that they had people sitting on each side of the platform, like dudes sitting on each side of the platform. And there was a car there was 2 or 3 cars coming up the bridge. And I guess one of the cars had called whomever they were working with and let them know that they saw me on the bridge, because the 3 cars that were underneath, like directly on the Bronx Terminal Street, all of them hit the gas at the same time. And went flying up to the top. So I ended up hiding on the side of the bridge up top. And then I said, I can't hide here because then they'll just come looking for me. So I ended up having to like jump off a side of a bridge, go underneath the bridge and hide. When I was underneath the bridge that I had jumped off of, I had took my bag, threw it away from me, and then went and hid underneath like a dirty tarp that was there. And then I had to wait a little bit. And I'm like, I'm just going to try to make sure these people are really looking for me. These cars came into the parking lot that was adjacent to the gate I was hiding behind. And they took a flashlight or a light on their phone and they just shined it like they were looking for me. They couldn't see me. Eventually, they pulled off. They left. I gave it a couple minutes and I'm like, I have to move before they come back looking over here for me, because it's common sense. You saw me up there. Now you don't see me up there. I have to get from over here. So when I was underneath this bridge, there was a yellow raincoat that was underneath there. I had took the yellow raincoat. I put it on. I put my bag under my back. I took my pants leg pulled up. I made myself look like a homeless person. I ended up coming outside of that gate. And I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of the Bronx, right? I end up running to a park in Harlem. And that's when the same guy that was on my block, he was waiting for me up inside of the park. Now, I was in the park, the St. Nicholas Park. Those of y'all who don't know St. Nicholas Park, there's 2 different ways you can get into St. Nicholas. Maybe even, there's a couple different ways, but you can get in from the top part, which is like towards like Broadway and Amsterdam, or you can get in from the bottom. It's a big hill, which is like St. Nicholas Street. I came in through the St. Nicholas part up towards like, I think it's 140th Street. And I went all the way up the steps. I didn't even take the step. I took like the grass path because I didn't want nobody watching me. When I got up on the top of the park, the same guy that was on my block was up there waiting for me. But when I peeped him before he peeped me. I guess, well, not really, because you was in there waiting, because you obviously had people watching me to even see me get over there. When I had gotten up and gotten to the top of the park, he was standing up against the railing there. And when I peeped him, I started like mumbling under my breath. And I started like walking all funny and like acting like I was like a homeless person that was out of it. Like previously, before I had gotten there, I found like a partially emptied beer can. I had poured that over myself so I would smell like liquor as well. I ended up getting into the park. He was up there, and then there was a dude waiting down the steps. Because when you go up those steps, you can walk straight around like this looped path, and then you have to go down more steps, and then there's a path there. You can either make a left and go down more steps, or you can go straight, and then there's a straight path, which leads you to either more straight steps or like a loop towards like the doggy park. I ended up going down the steps to the left, because I'm like, oh, hell to the now. It's pitch black at this point outside. I get into the train station, and I end up leaving from out here. I ran to several police departments. I ran to the shelter. I ran to hospitals. I'm talking about, I went to Port Authority. I'm talking about anywhere you can think about to try to get help. And none of the police will help me. They would help me at that time. They said that the only way that they would step in is if there was a crime already committed. And I'm like, the crime that they're trying to commit is it was to rape and kill me. Somebody has started a rumor about me saying that I was a pedophile. The reason I know this is because of what the people were saying to me when they were taunting me outside, calling me a nasty bitch. I'm a pedophile. There were people walking around, like men walking around with like black duffel bags with tools in it. They were saying they were going to cut my fingers off for having had touched the child. The situation was just horrendous. I ended up running all the way into Queens because I said I need to go to the airport because the airport has TSA, they have Army, they have dogs, they have cops, they have all types of stuff. So I'm like, this is my last resort. Let me try to run into the airport. I get myself into Queens. This is even like before I get to the airport. I'm running around Queens telling people to call the cops for me to get me some help. None of them wanted to call the cops. None of them wanted to help me. Eventually there was a lady who finally called the cops. There's a couple people. I probably got 2 or 3 people to help call the cops. None of them wanted to call the cops. Everybody was acting like they were scared. Cops, they didn't even show up for like an hour. And then they finally showed up. When I showed the cop my ID, he looked scared and he was like, hey, you want to kneel down by the car over here? Just sit down and squat down in the car, like next to the car over here. The lady cop was a complete asshole to me. They were like, okay, we're going to take you to the hospital first and make sure you're not having a psychotic break before we step in and actually look at what's going on. I get taken to the hospital. When I get to the hospital, they had drones. I guess they followed us to the hospital. People were just pouring into the emergency room, all in there staring me down. I had a dude sitting across from me in a dark room. I guess he had got dismissed but didn't leave. He had literally the curtain on half his face staring at me behind the curtain in the dark. There was another dude pacing the place trying to hurt me. There was somebody they went and put a dude at the end of my bed who was a part of it, who resembled this Eric guy who raped me like maybe a year before that. He date raped me. I went on a date with him. He kept pouring my drink, and then I guess he slipped a roofie inside of my drink, right? The nurse inside of the room found the biggest needle that she could find and stabbed me with it in my arm. I mean, like she put it in my arm and like jabbed it and twisted it into my arm, and I screamed. And they wouldn't take it out of my arm. They had different people just kept coming in, and they all were staring at me, trying to intimidate me. And the guy who I say got put at the end of my bed that looked just like the guy who raped me a year before, like they could have been brothers or something. He went into the bathroom a couple times, and then he went back in for the last time, and he cleansed himself with water. He cleansed his hair, washed himself down, then sat at the end of my bed and started moving the bed out of the way. I guess so to give him space so that he would be able to rape me. And then all of the one guy who they put, that was like the worker that was standing by my bed, and one of the lady doctors, they had kicked him out and made him like say his name in front of me and stuff like that. And then there was another guy that was in a waiting room that was like, there was an Indian guy right after him. And then after him, it was a black dude. And the black dude looked like the other dude who freaking was at my building. Like they could have been related. A lot of bullshit going on. The hospital staff took my bag from me, threw all my stuff on the ground in front of everybody, humiliated me, went and processed all my stuff, saying I couldn't have a bag with me. And the only way I could have a bag with me is if they did that. Like completely just disrespected my things. Went and took me, moved me into the psychiatric side, only put me in there overnight, never talked to me, never sent the doctor in, never did an evaluation for me, but gave me documents saying that I was having psychosis and a weed disorder when nobody did any investigation. I didn't even get to talk to a doctor, so they falsified a report, and then they kicked me out of the hospital. And by the time they kicked me out, there was a whole bunch of people inside of the waiting room. I had to get myself from out the hospital. I get all the way around. I'm trying to get through Queens. I don't know how to get through Queens at this point. Like I said, I was trying to get to the airport so I could find more police, Army, somebody. I get myself I get myself out of the hospital. I get around the corner to try to figure out, how do I find a train? How do I find help? How do I what? My ex is standing on the phone talking to somebody. He didn't see me because I came from the neighborhood side after I had left out of the house. I didn't know which way I was going. I was just walking to try to figure out how to find a subway station. He's on the phone with somebody like, yeah, them motherfuckers, they already paid me. I spent that money. We about to kill this bitch. I need to get paid. Yeah, we about to kill this bitch outside of the hospital that I'm in with all of those people over here trying to attack me. Right? They have people all in there. I'm talking about